Today on Bry the Guys, it's the DCEU review. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Bry the Guys, the only podcast that is banned in the 28 known galaxies because he said that Superman tends to be a boring character. I am your host, the more interesting man-child of steel, Brian Peters, and tonight is part 3 of the End of an Era DCEU complete review. And guess who's back? Back again. Tyler's back. Tell your friends.
Tyler's back.
Tyler, the founder of Tylerberg? Tylerberg?
I mean, what?
Tylerberg? Miss Tessmacher, she got a little place. It's a little bitty place. Tyler Patrick, here in the flesh, man. The host of one of the legendary DC Comics podcasts, the Krypton Report, who I've been doing this crossover with here. And this crossover has been pretty epic.
It has been.
So far, if you're just joining us, you need to go back. You need to super speed it, time travel like Barry Allen. Go back to part 1, which was on Bry the Guys. We went over Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman. Part 2 was on the Krypton Report. And we covered Snyder Cut, Justice League, Aquaman, and Shazam. Part 3 of Bry the Guys. And tonight we're going to cover Harley Quinn, or Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 84, The Suicide Squad, and Black Adam, or Black Rock, whatever you want to say. And then next week, make sure you tune into the grand finale on the Krypton Report in this podcast crossover, where we talk about Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, Aquaman 2, The Lost Kingdom, and end it with The Flash. Now, we are not talking about Blue Beetle because Tyler and I are in agreement that Blue Beetle seems to be like way too early DCU.
It's like the outlier right now because even when its inception was going to be on Max, and we just assumed it was going to be part of this film series, but it had no really connective tissue.
Yeah.
And the way things are going now, so it really is kind of being looked at as like its own thing at the moment. So we just didn't include it.
Yeah, it seems to be just its own thing. And after we talk about The Flash, then we're going to share our rankings for DC films. Now, my rankings changed watching all these movies again.
Mine adjusted.
They did?
I mean, it changed a little.
Interesting.
But not a whole lot of drasticness. Because I was also putting, and we'll talk about it. But yeah,
we'll talk about it. I think I even said to you, one of my main factors is like I looked at the overall arc. I gave extra points if it was standalone because I feel that really helped it. And like I looked at it story-wise in the movie, story-wise in DCEU, what worked, and like I guess I probably judge things more harshly because of how things turned out in the future. But that's because I'm a total jerk. But you're a little bit, I'm the Batman here. You're the Superman. That's how we work. So
one factor I threw in there is like how often am I going to watch this one? Did it connect with me?
Yeah, that's another thing I told you. Yes. How many times am I watching this? Because like we talk, I mean, you and I, big movie guys. You the director, me, whatever the heck I am, but maybe the producer. But you look at movies from a filmmaking perspective, and you're always like, Brian, what do you think of this score? And I'm like, dude, I'm freaking deaf. Like, I don't hear no score.
And you're like, what's a score?
What's a score? Like, I mean, like I score with my wife, well, whatever. That's the type of score I care about. But you look at it cinematically, you look at everything, and I look at it from not only I do look at the cinematic part, but I look at the story. Me personally, I'm all about the story. Did this story work? Did it do justice to the characters? Did it make sense? And am I gonna want to revisit this story? Like
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense to me. So in saying all that, let's talk about movies that I will not revisit again.
I mean, that's the that's the thing. But yeah, so we're kicking off this like, okay, so to bring everybody in, this era that we're talking about here
Yeah.
in episode 3 is where the AT&T starts off with Walter Hamada, and like you have to talk about the background stuff because so much of the leadership change
Yeah, please
in
do.
the 10 years from when Man of Steel started to when we got to Aquaman 2, we went through multiple leaderships and structuring of the company, and all that factored into these films. So this is the era where Walter Hamada starts projects, he's in it, but then he's starting to be shepherded out as Discovery comes in and buys AT&T back. Discovery officially bought it by the time the Suicide Squad is released, and enters. I always forget one, but it's DeLuca, and there's another one I'll have to look up, who kind of become the interim workers who were kind of inherited DC, and start to kind of run the show as Hamada's being let go. And that's a big factor in this as we get to the end of this section.
I felt like me personally, as we enter this section, this part 3, I felt that we were at such a high. Like with Shazam and Aquaman,
where we felt like we were in a place, we had 2 positive hits.
Yep.
Things are going good. I mean, and Birds of Prey is weird just because it was one. Yeah, and I say that because we don't really know how well it would have done financially, because it came out February, right around my birthday, because that's what we went and saw for my birthday that year. And then the pandemic shutdown happened. Like
I think it was either this movie or it was I think it was Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is the last movie I saw before pandemic, before the world changed. I think it was Sonic. Because I think I went by myself because I really wanted to see the movie, and I was working in Columbus that day, and like I just really wanted to see this movie, and like, yeah, I think it was that, because I know I saw Birds of Prey with Brandon, and Brandon's not big of a comic reader and stuff, and he's not as passionate about Birds of Prey as I am. So like he was like, yeah, this movie is great, where I had so many thoughts, which I'm about to say, of course. But
so let's get into it. Let's get into a little bit of the history and everything about this film.
Yeah, go into the history. We'll go step by step.
So the first big thing about this film is in April 17th of 2018, Kathy Yan is hired by Warner Brothers to direct Birds of Prey. Okay.
Now, what did Kathy direct before that?
It was some movie.
Because you know everything.
I'm trying to remember. It was like something about like, I know it had to do with like a farm and a pig, but it wasn't. It was like a serious drama.
Animal Farm?
It was something Margot Robbie saw.
Babe Pig in the City?
No, like it's dark. Like it's a dark drama. And something, it was very indie. And it was like, okay, because they wanted a female director. And I get that sense, because there's a scene in Birds of Prey that I flat out told Jania, had a male director directed the film, I think the scene would have been played out a little bit differently.
I think it's very important that female-led movies do have female directors, my personal opinion, because like
there's a different energy about it.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a detail in Birds of Prey. There's a scene where they do the whole sharing scrunchie thing. That if that's not written in the script, a male director probably would never think of just some camaraderie between the women.
Yeah.
The scene I'm talking about is when Black Mask is in the club and he has the girl like dance.
Yes.
And then he has to like remove her dress. If a male had directed that, and this goes into what this next part was real quick. May 8th, 2018, Birds of Prey is an R-rated girl film. If a male had directed that, she would have been naked. Or at least topless. Because it's an R-rated film.
I think so.
And
think
I
you're
mean,
right.
I tell you flat out 100%. But having a female, I think that, altered that. So we're getting into this. And let's see here. June 13th of that year, Walter Hamada calls the DC a shit show. So, like, once I'm in, we're.
Oh, Walter Hamada, yeah. And he's just coming into the job. And he's going to try to clean it up. Yeah. Ooh, maybe.
So, hold on. We're scrolling because just for the listeners who may not have remembered, we are not doing a whole history of everything that happened in the DCEU, like what could have been, what happened, what was announced, and when. We're talking film by film.
Which is very important that you guys know that.
Yes.
Because there's so much to talk about, and we're trying to do this in just 4 parts.
Yeah, we're trying to just talk about the films, not all the behind the scenes, what happened, when, who there. That's for a different discussion. So November 1st, 2018, Ewan McGregor is cast as Black Mask. November 20th, 2018, Margot Robbie reveals the full title of Birds of Prey. The film would be titled Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Extremely too long of a title.
Absolutely, way too
convoluted story.
Mm-hmm.
January 15th, Birds of Prey.
So another thing, I love Black Mask. One of my favorite Batman villains. I think he's very underrated. If no one's ever read the War Game story, the pre-Infinite Crisis War Game story, a lot of people give it crap because that's where Stephanie Brown becomes Robin. It's actually a pretty dang good story, and Black Mask is the main big villain of that. And having Black Mask and then Ewan McGregor playing Black Mask, that was so far. This was the only exciting thing I was about the movie. Well, I was excited about Birds of Prey, but then they said when they gave me this title, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, I was like, okay, this is not going to be a Birds of Prey movie. This is going to be a Harley Quinn movie, and it sure was.
It was, and that's why I think first of all, that's what screws this film up. Is they wanted to do a Harley film, and there was like several films that were announced that were going to be Harley driven. There's going to be a Harley Joker, and then we're going to have the one that should have been was Gotham City Sirens, or Gotham City Sirens versus the Birds of Prey, and
which would have been so good.
But
I think it would have been really good.
It would have been, and so they decided to make this on January 15th, 2019. Birds of Prey begins filming. In February, they cancel the Harley Quinn Joker film. Batgirl's supposed to get her own movie, so she's removed and not part of Birds of Prey, and that's in February of 2019. So this is going on, okay? April 15th, 2019, Birds of Prey wraps filming. Okay.
Oh, did you say the Harley Quinn Joker movie canceled February 2019? The Leto Joker movie canceled 2019, February 2019. Yeah.
So now here we are. Let's jump to
Batgirl not in Birds of Prey, February 13th, 2019.
Yeah, I said that.
You did? I'm sorry. Gosh. Oh.
Let's see here. February 7th, 2020.
Okay.
Birds of Prey releases. The film would be met with positive critical reception overall, but would be a massive disappointment at the box office, going on to make $205.3 million on an $85 million budget. Many people were confused marketing. No joke. An overlong title that buried the lead character and an R rating that limited its core audience at the primary reason for the film's underperformance. Okay. February 12th, which is my birthday, theater chains and ticket websites changed Birds of Prey title to Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. This was viewed as an attempt to try and boost ticket sales due to the audience confusion.
I forgot all about that.
Yes. Okay. Yes. You don't make Harley Quinn your character, or it should have been Harley Quinn versus the Birds of Prey.
Yep.
The title was stupid. Okay. It's too long. Now, if this had been the Birds of Prey sequel, it would have made a little bit more sense. Okay. Now, let's talk about this. Brian, wouldn't you say that Harley Quinn is probably one of the top 3, maybe DC characters? Like next to Batman, you see her merch and her crap everywhere.
Okay, so you're talking about in terms of popularity, or terms about be more specific?
Like in popularity, like she's a character that has transcended and has become one of the most popular pop culture DC characters, period.
I think in terms of DC, yes, you're right. So
You
I
can't
think
walk into
when
Hot
people think
Topic.
DC characters, they Batman, Joker, Harley Quinn.
You can't walk into Hot Topic and not find a bunch of Harley Quinn crap.
Yes.
Okay. So
Superman, unfortunately, is not in that top 3
no.
yet.
So
maybe.
So you're going to take a character that you sell, that you market, and is one of your most prolific characters, and you're going to make her movie an R-rated film, cutting out a massive chunk of audience.
Well, okay. I don't think. Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, it needed to be PG-13.
Now,
Maybe
okay,
maybe a sequel to be R.
okay, think
Something
about
like that,
this.
but
Your R-rated films and comic books have always been characters that aren't super popular. Okay? Or if they are, they're kind of niche. Like Deadpool. Deadpool was a smaller character until that movie, then everyone became a Deadpool fan.
everybody.
Okay?
My cousin Steve. I'll never forgive him for this. My cousin Steve, longtime Batman fan. And I say to him in that Fact to Fiction episode, bro, the greatest comic book superhero of all, the greatest comic book character of all time, Batman, hands down. He says Deadpool
Yeah,
of all time.
I would allow the Batman statement. I wouldn't really argue with you because I think there's a lot of truth in there. But yeah, Deadpool, he's an idiot. Just
Do
because
you call him an idiot? You don't call him an idiot.
for saying Deadpool, yeah.
Yeah, he's an idiot. All right.
but you really have to argue that case, bro. Like you need some
Deadpool,
Matt Murdock.
ever?
You need some Matt Murdock lawyering to get me to believe that.
Matt Murdock over Deadpool.
I'm saying he needs some lawyer skills like Matt Murdock to argue why Deadpool is better than Bat. Like, yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
So Birds of Prey, by being rated R,
Steve.
you automatically limit who can see the film. Okay? For a character that's marketed to girls and kids, Sayla loves Harley. Okay? And I had to make an edit of this movie so she could see some of the scenes to see Harley. Okay? And if you're pushing Harley in the front,
that's just
now watching this film, you can easily make a PG-13 cut. Okay? There's certain scenes that be trimmed, some sound effects altered, and of course, you can edit the dialogue. And you can make a PG-13 cut of this, which they should have done. Because if you're in the mood to make money, because if you're going R, you need to go all in. Okay?
This movie was not an all-in R.
Exactly.
By any means.
So if you're going to make it R, you go full on. You blood, guts, language, whatever. Like you make it to where I'm watching like, yeah, this is R. Like you can't get around this. The film they released, I'm like, you could edit this to PG-13. The other problem with this movie is they tried to be Deadpool with this movie.
They sure as hell did, buddy.
I mean, they first of all, they do the non-linear storytelling, just like Deadpool. And
they even did a little bit of artwork, like in storytelling, like with like Deadpool did, like kind of with him drawing pictures and stuff. They did like that. Over the top like fight scenes that were like overly ridiculous.
But just like the breaking of the fourth wall, the non-linear storytelling. I mean, even if you watch Deadpool, it's all flipping through time until you get to the third act. And that's exactly what happens in this movie. Once they all get together for the third act, it's just pretty much straight storytelling. We're no longer doing any hopping around. you give us I think this is Margot Robbie's best performance because she gets to do more depth and she has more time to develop the character. That's one of the biggest pluses to this film.
There were some scenes like, so I tried to go in this movie positive because when I watched it a few weeks ago, it was my second time watching this movie because so many things made me mad, which I'll unload in a second. But um, you saw more of Harleen in this.
Yes.
Like a lot of people look at okay, the things that annoy me about Harley Quinn is when she's way too over the top and they're trying to make her Deadpool, like, and she's just way over the top and she's shoved down my throat. But the interesting things of Harleen that I think people forget, or the Harleen sign, is that this girl has a PhD. She is a doctor of psychiatry. She's actually really, really freaking smart. And a lot of times they play her overly stupid. And that's not like that's not the side that I particularly like. I mean, you like what you like, but I liked in this that she was like motherly or big sistery a little bit to Cassandra. She was realizing how the Joker treated her like trash. She was seeing how these men were just treating women like trash. Like, and she was smart in some scenes. Like this really was a great performance by Margot. As a character. The whole bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich thing, I can totally relate to. Like, not many people can make a really good one, but that was her passion. That's what she wanted, and I thought that was good humor. Like, that wasn't over the top. That was just like that was really well written humor there. But it's when it goes a little too far, like trying too hard, that I feel that Harley Quinn it doesn't work.
Yeah. The third act for me feels a little off. And I say that because once Ewan McGregor as Black Mask puts the mask on, I'm wondering if a lot of that's reshoots because the setting style changes. It's more of this like playful fun house. There's definitely a slight tone shift when we get to the third act. As far as setting, and like I said, it's Ewan in the mask. It makes me wonder if it was actually him the whole time or if it was reshoots or not. I don't know. If I remember right, the big scene, the big action scene, in the police station was actually directed by somebody else. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head. It was a stunt
With the
director.
confetti gun.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it was a stunt director because you can definitely tell like it just doesn't fit the rest of Kathy Ann's tone. So I feel like they were trying too hard at certain parts, and it should have just been Harley Quinn, and then it should have been a surprise that the Birds of Prey come out because the first thing is when you think Birds of Prey, it's supposed to be Batgirl. She's supposed to be there.
I think Oracle, Batgirl, Huntress, Black Canary, and whoever their pilot's name is. I keep forgetting. She wears a jacket with the bird on it. What the hell is her name?
I can't remember either.
Nightingale. Night. I don't know.
That sounds something like that.
Something like that. But she's not used too much. I think a little bit Catwoman sometimes. I definitely think Oracle above anybody, and I think Gail Samo writing and just pure awesomeness. Ugh.
So
Birds of Prey comic was something special.
Black Canary in this movie, I have no problems with. She worked. She was fine.
That's fair.
All of a sudden, she has a metahuman power that we don't really understand in explaining this, but I was like, you know what? Maybe they'll do it later as we develop the film because we were supposed to get more out of it. Okay.
Yeah, let's break it down character by character. Let's do that. Black Canary, I'm with you. No real problem.
Huntress, I didn't have a problem with.
I did a little bit.
I was fine with her. It's supposed to be her first coming out kind of as Huntress and kind of getting her vibe. Once again, I was like, okay, it gives us somewhere to go and developing her more in a sequel. Okay. Montoya was horrible.
All right. You go on your Montoya rant, then I will go on my huge Montoya rant.
I mean, I'm just saying because Montoya, first of all, is a great character. She's younger. She's not Rosie Perez. I'm the same. Montoya was horrible, and then Cassandra Cain was bullshit because she's a mute assassin who has psychological torment and issues, not some street kid. Yeah, there's nothing about this character other than she's Asian and named Cassandra Cain that was like the comic character. I'm not going to waste all my time going breaking it all down. But it was a horrible depiction of the character. I thought Zaz was pretty creepy. I think he did all right. And of course, Ewan McGregor, I love his black mask. I liked because he was creepy in a different way. Especially how quickly he could flip from being this kind, like with the family where he's like, let them live. And then he's like, no, kill him. Because the guy had snot. So it was a different take than just seeing another kind of cookie cutter villain. But that's all I got to say about Birds of Prey. It's not one of my favorites. I don't rewatch that often. I think the last time I watched is when Janine and I did our comment on it, waiting for The Suicide Squad. So, Brian.
This movie's trash. Absolute trash. One of the worst DC films ever. So far from the source material, we can't even, like, what the hell? Where the hell's Oracle? Where the hell's Batgirl? Bullcrap. Harley was fine. Let's get that out of the way. Margot did pretty great as Harley. Huntress, yeah, okay. Black Canary, I really have no complaints with really at all. I thought she did pretty darn good. Black Canary was probably the best of the team. Done well because she sang. She had the canary cry. It was fun. It was good. Montoya is one of my favorite characters in comics. If you want to read a great comic and a great freaking story featuring Renee Montoya, you read Greg Rucka's Gotham Central. One of the greatest comic runs like ever. It's a hard detective story. There's cameos of Batman villains. There's cameos of Batman in there, and it's just so damn good. Also in that story, Two-Face is obsessed with her. She comes out as a lesbian, and we just get this real human story with Renee, and it's so good. In this movie, if I was doing a Birds of Prey movie, I would have had probably Rosario Dawson. I can't even say her name as Renee. Would have freaking nailed it. Would have killed it. Blew it away. It definitely would have been a younger Latina woman, not Rosie Perez. What the hell? End rant. Cassandra Cain probably pisses me off more than Renee because at least they made Rosie a detective. What the hell is this? Oh my god! So it makes me so mad. Okay, Cassandra Cain is one of the greatest characters in comics, one of the greatest female characters in comics. Silent assassin. Her dad was Cain, one of the greatest assassins of all time. Trained since a child. She couldn't even speak. The Batgirl costume that she wears, stitched over her mouth, looks freaking awesome. Looks creepy, badass. She could rival. She could beat up Dick Grayson. She can rival Batman. One of the greatest characters ever. So good. She even leads the League of Assassins. Ra's al Ghul's League of Assassins. She even leads it for a time. She can go toe to toe with Deathstroke. One of the greatest characters ever. And you make her a pickpocket freaking turd. Ugh, so mad. Okay. Sorry. Just, it's not Birds of Prey. And then Ewan McGregor, like, Black Mask loves torture. He loves torture. Like, that's his big thing. Peeling people's face off, he would do it. Not make Zaz do it. He would do it himself. So, like, that was weird. And then, like, the OCD thing was kind of okay, but it ruined him being a lover of torture. Like, yeah. Him making that girl dance was a great scene, one of the best scenes in the film, because it showed just how power hungry he is, and like that was real, and how evil he was, just embarrassing that girl. This movie, pure trash, and it makes me very nervous that Christina Hansen is going to be a writer for the DCU and a big name there. She also wrote The Flash, but then she also wrote Bumblebee, which was so good. I hope that she can get her stride again. And that's all I got to say about Birds of Prey. It's trash, but not as trash as the next film.
Okay. So the next film. All right. We knew that after the hit that Wonder Woman would be, there'd be a sequel.
Yes.
So now we're moving back to April 24th, 2018. Wonder Woman 2 is confirmed to take place in the 80s. Official title revealed as Wonder Woman 1984. Now,
I was actually excited about the 80s.
I was not, because at this point, I felt like we were burning out the 80s because we had Stranger Things, we had all this other stuff where we kept going back to the 80s. I wanted something in the 90s, especially after we got Captain Marvel that took place in the 90s. And I'm like, I feel like, my thought was Wonder Woman 84 is going to come out. And that's going to be our last kind of like 80s nostalgia film. June 13th, 2018, the first look at Wonder Woman 1984 is revealed. Dun, dun, dun. The movie also begins filming. Begins filming in 2018. Okay. So, the next thing about Wonder Woman 1984 is right here, December 23rd, 2018, Wonder Woman 1984 wraps filming. So, December 23rd, 2018. And this film was supposed to release in 2019. It was going to be like November of 2019. But then they decided they were going to push it to early 2020.
Big mistake.
So the next big thing is the statement of Wonder Woman 1984 is pushed back because of the COVID pandemic. So March 24th, 2020, Wonder Woman 84 is delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, that makes sense. June 12th, 2020, Wonder Woman 1984 delayed again to October due to the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're excuse me. We're like, okay, we're digging.
Makes sense. COVID, no one can see it in theaters. They know it's going to be like in my mind was like, oh, okay, so they know this movie's good, so they're waiting.
So September 13th, 2020, Wonder Woman 1984 delayed to Christmas. Now, it's COVID, so like release date shuffling, I get it. Okay. November 18th, 2020, Wonder Woman 1984 is confirmed to be released day and date on HBO Max and in theaters. The hybrid release strategy would have a major impact on the DCEU
Huge
in
mistake.
2021.
Big mistake.
I think they should just put it straight on Max and not do the hybrid.
Yep.
But whatever. Let's see if there's anything else. Here we go. December 25th, Christmas Day. Wonder Woman 1984 releases. While the film was initially met with praise on Rotten Tomatoes, the number eventually fell drastically to 58 as a far more mixed reaction from critics. Though critics and fans viewed the film as a major step down from the original, it would end up being a massive hit on HBO Max. Well, no shit. That single-handedly kick-started awareness for the streaming service. Despite a poor box office due to COVID-19, the film did exactly what Warner Brothers wanted it to do. Well, yeah, it makes sense. Like, it would be hyped because it was on Max. Like, it was exciting. I mean, did you watch it on Christmas Day?
I don't think I did. I don't remember when I watched it. It was around that Christmas time. Oh, no, wait. Okay, so I think I watched it. All I remember about when I watched it is that I started it, and then Dave surprise visited me. My buddy Dave surprise visited me, and then he was here for a couple of days, and then like I didn't finish it until after he left and stuff. So I don't remember exactly when I watched it.
Oh, I do. We had Christmas. We went to the in-laws and everything. We came home that night. We all were in our new PJs. We all, turned on Max and we were watching it. And we were having a good time. But about halfway through it, I was like, this movie is not that good.
Oh, only halfway?
Because I was giving it the benefit of the doubt to be like, okay. And tonally, this movie is so different. Continuity, they just screwed. And that's why you have to apply crisis theory that we discussed in our previous episode. Kristen Wiig, major miscast as Cheetah.
Humongous miscast. Not that she's a bad actress, because she's not. I mean, she's not.
She's not. It just
She's not
she did
atrocious,
not.
but as Cheetah, no.
There's so many story choices in this that boggle my mind. It's an over convoluted plot, and I feel like sometimes that's what happens when you get comic book writers involved. Because for some reason, comic book writers want to make things more convoluted and layered than just making it like a straightforward story. I'm not going to go into like me and Brian have done previous podcasts where we've pitched what could have been from this film, and what would have been a better story for Diana and Minerva. But
yeah, we pitched our whole like sister story.
I think the whole thing with the Amazons at the beginning is pointless. I don't like it because they say you cheated, Diana. Well, the way it's filmed and done, I don't see her as cheating as much as finding a shortcut to help benefit her to win a race. We never get the rules. I mean, yeah, she missed shooting the flag thing, which makes sense that she would lose. But
it literally makes no sense.
I'm like, if you would have like had something where they laid out the rules about what we were experiencing, then yeah, the whole cheating thing would have been. But it's like one of those where you do a scene and you're trying to like hammer a message into us out of it. That would have worked. I would have preferred more with the armor at the beginning. Or, just not had like the Amazons absent from this film. We would have felt that absence and been, wanting more for a good, strong Return to Paradise Island third film. But or that could have been a really cool short film, if you want to make money, that's on the Blu-ray, the home release. So everyone snatches it up because they want to see that Amazon scene. This one, this is an example, okay, of when the director does well and then you give them complete control for the next one.
Yep.
And we had examples, good and bad. Tim Burton, okay, the first film.
I'm glad you said that. I was going to say that.
Batman 89 is kind of, I say, a director-producer joint. Okay, second one, Batman Returns, Tim Burton film, straight up. Wonder Woman,
through and through, Tim Burton film.
Director-producer joint. Wonder Woman 2, Patty Jenkins. That's why she ended up losing Wonder Woman 3. She lost Cleopatra. She lost Star Wars because they finally saw what she was doing on her own.
I forgot about Cleopatra.
Wow. Shazam, or not Shazam. Sorry, Thor: Love and Thunder and Thor Ragnarok.
Oh,
first one, they had Taika a little bit more, reeled in. The next one, they just let him do whatever. That's why it's tonally just out there more.
Not to mention he hates Thor and like he doesn't care. Yeah.
Yeah, he's come out with a lot of stuff. I won't go into that, but that to me is just being a douche. So you have this where you let the director kind of run wild doing the sequel and I feel like, they change up so much and they throw a lot of continuity, a lot of structure out the wind with this one. And it just feels weird. It's not the same character that we love. The story's so, man, like there's just things in this. The whole Cheetah story, the whole Wish with Maxwell Lord and not really being Maxwell Lord, being only Maxwell Lord in name only.
Nowhere near the Maxwell Lord that freaking kills Ted Cord and like in Infinite Crisis, that whole story, and was mind controlling Superman to kill somebody, and Wonder Woman had no choice but to snap his neck. Like
it makes the Maxwell Lord that was on Supergirl season 1 like the closest Maxwell Lord we've had. I mean, like I said, this just, yeah, I do not, I don't really like this one. It breaks my heart to say because I like Gal. I really came around to her. Hans Zimmer did the score for this, and I feel like his version of the Wonder Woman theme is weak. I mean, just overall, like I'm just not happy with this one. Like it didn't take full advantage of the 80s. So why put it in
Nope.
the 80s?
Right.
I don't, there's a lot, like I said, I could break down about the whole story, but I've had that discussion. So yeah, not a huge fan.
This movie is an abomination of God, man. Like, how do you go from the near masterpiece of Wonder Woman 1 and how good that was? Like, how strong that was for a female lead, the no man's land scene, her relationship with Steve, her chemistry, her naiveness. Um, it was great. The first one is so good, and it's because you had Zach there who understood the freaking character. Like,
Can you think of another comic book series where we go from that you kill a franchise in one film so badly? Like you go from like amazing in the first film, then so different by the second film that it kills it.
well, maybe, maybe Punisher. Maybe
Yeah, but that one's different because
well,
that was a soft reboot.
that was
Like you
meant to
had,
be. Yeah, that was meant to be a soft reboot, and it was meant to be more comic booky.
but this is like you have the same creatives behind, like the same director, same actor. Um, the two of the biggest parts of components of the film
you,
are back.
you can almost say, well, it's not really the first movie to the direct sequel, but Blade 2 to Blade 3. That's the closest
Yeah,
comparison you can get.
yeah, and I was saying that's a second to a third. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Because Blade is one of those odd trilogies where the second one's the best.
second one's so good. Other than let me think here.
I cannot think of anything where
Maybe
just
no,
there's
not that.
such a kill in the second film that you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is so devoid of what the first film was.
Yeah, I can't think of any other on top of my head. But Wonder Woman 1, I mean, it's so good. One that's definitely in the top tiers. And to go and do a whole 180 here, what were they thinking? Like, you barely get any of the 80s, which would have kind of like, if you're going to make this a sales pitch, Wonder Woman 84, like, in my opinion, you should have made it more Cold War-ish. Like, if you're going to do World War One and have her do that story with World War One, like why didn't you do this like Cold War-ish, like pre-Chernobyl type stuff? Like, you could have made it a little bit like Russian stuff there. Kristen Wiig was miscast. And if you were going to do anything, it should have been probably like a sister story where when Kristen becomes a cheetah, it's like a huge betrayal because Diana, like Diana was mourning the loss of Steve, and she really had no friends. She really had no connection. She couldn't go back home to Themyscira, So her finally having a friend after, 40 years.
We should just we needed to see their friendship. We needed to
You
see
barely saw
them
it.
blossom. And the cheetah story was done horribly.
Horrible.
Also, I always said, like, okay, look at Wonder Woman, J. Michael Straczynski's Wonder Woman Odyssey, is where she kind of wears a black leather jacket. She has her chest armor and like black leather pants. You could have easily taken the idea of that costume and made it 80s-fied with like the leather and everything and given her a different outfit than just the regular Wonder Woman suit and then the armor. Like it would have been really cool to have almost a completely different looking Wonder Woman, but still, like, look it up. Like I said, Wonder Woman Odyssey is the book series. It would have worked and been so great. And it just because once again, I'm a continuity person, and this movie just craps on continuity, period. And that's why we had to put Crisis Theory. So
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think like Pedro Pascal is a really good movie, and this is the movie that kind of um, put his career a little bit higher. Um, but I don't think you need Maxwell Lord at all. The Wish thing didn't make sense. But for me, the two biggest things here is that you get this like first 15 minutes, you get action. This movie's like 2.5 hours long. The first 15 minutes, you get action. You get that opening Amazon scene. Then you see, Gal in the mall. And the thing about Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is she has a grace about her. She has this beauty and grace about her and this warmness that makes her like even more beautiful at times because and she shines Wonder Woman and how she interacts with people. Like when you get those scenes of her interacting with people, especially like little girls and children and stuff, like that's the Wonder Woman I want to see, where she's showing hope and she's showing love to people and being that inspiration for little girls. Like I want to see that, and we got that in Wonder Woman. We got that in the Snyder Cut. And there's so much potential for Gal Gadot. And it breaks my heart to see her go. But the biggest thing about this movie, like you have that 15 minutes of action, you don't get any action scene at all until a whole hour and 10 minutes more. You don't get any action, and you get all this like weird character building and the stuff with Steve. And the biggest disgusting thing is, why don't you just bring Steve back from the dead? If she can have a witch and just bring him back, why do you put him in this rando's body? Like,
how did that get by all the scripts, all the people that have to approve the story and the movie? How does that you could have just had him come back? I mean, we're already bought into that this guy's granting wishes.
Yep.
So the fact you can't argue me, well, he doesn't have a body to come back to. It's a wish machine, okay? It's you can make it work however you want. So that whole thing, stupid. And I say it, stupid, because I mean, I love Chris Pine, and I totally want Chris Pine back, but you should have just made it simple.
Yeah, make it simple. Just bring him back from the dead. He didn't need to be in another body. That was just really weird. And I didn't like how she was pining from him so much. Like I know she loves him, but it weakened her. If you will.
Weakened her. Like I would have preferred the movie open. Okay, this sounds horrible. Okay, but I would have preferred the movie opened at like Edda's funeral.
Yeah.
And it's her putting to like there's an action scene and she's trying to get like she's on her way to the funeral, but she gets distracted. There's an action scene, and it's her putting to rest the last of her friends. So now she has even more of a reason to close off. We meet that Edda had a daughter, and the daughter's trying to reach out to Diana, and Diana's like,
that would have been good.
Like she's really closing off because that was her last tether to the world. There were these people. And I mean, this movie could have been, in a sense, the Captain America movie we wanted of him and the Howling Commandos. It could have been the next adventure or the last adventure of Wonder Woman with the aging people who are like, this is our last go. Almost like a suicide mission for them. Diana still looks young. They all are old, but they're doing something kind of like a Magnificent Seven kind of thing. Like, we're going to do something.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
You know, like that could have been the film, and Brian and I, as dudes, could have written a more female empowered film than what we got. All right,
absolutely.
I'm done with it. I'm done with this film.
End scene. The movie was trash. Next on the list, chronologically, it is, Snyder Cut did come out next, but we talk about that with our crisis stuff. So next, The Suicide Squad, directed by James Mother Flippin' Gunn.
All right, so look, going back into this takes us back a while.
Lay it on me, film guy.
James Gunn gets fired because of cancel culture and old tweets from way back, and I won't get into that whole thing.
We don't need to get into that.
He gets fired from Marvel from doing the third Guardians film. DC immediately scoops him up. Trying to find out where it's announced. Hold on. And because at one point, Gavin Hood, was going to direct the Suicide Squad 2. Okay. Or should I say Suicide Squad 2?
Who is Gavin Hood?
He directed Ender's Game, and I think he was the one. He directed X-Men Origins Wolverine. And then also they talked to the guy, Gavin O'Connor. Sorry, that's who I meant, who did The Accountant with Ben Affleck. he was going to be directing Suicide Squad 2. And this is October 9th of 18. October 9th, 2018, same day. Sorry. October 9th, 2018, Gavin O'Connor leaves, saying the main reason was because he was frustrated with how similar his movie was to Birds of Prey. That same day, James Gunn is hired to direct Suicide Squad 2. So we're in 2018. All right, fellas. Moving forward now. March 6, 2019, Idris Elba will replace Will Smith in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. So basically, you can say whatever you want, and I just even said there were times he didn't know what character he was playing because it was supposed to be the Deadshot character. Then they ended up making him Bloodsport to give him someone different. But, you know, it was between Bloodsport, Bronze Tiger, and Deadshot. So Elba's even said he wasn't sure exactly what character he was all the time. So that's pretty messed up.
I do love how they made fun of it in the movie when they introduced Peacemaker. He
John
does the
Cena,
same thing I do.
John Cena is cast as Peacemaker, and then Margot Robbie would return April 17th, 2019. April 29th, 19, David Dastmalchian is cast as Polka Dot Man. April 30th, Danica Melchior as Ratcatcher. So that's, we're making progress. Let's see here. Keep going. September 19th, 2019, the Suicide Squad begins filming. Okay, so we're making headway. All right. And then comes February 28th, 2020, the Suicide Squad wraps filming. So it wrapped filming right before the shutdown. March 6th, yep. James Gunn gives his stance on CGI versus practical effects. He said on Twitter that CGI can be beautiful and spectacular if necessary, that he was concerned about filmmakers relying on post-production to do the work they should be doing in production. Fair enough.
Wait, repeat that? What did you say?
He said that filmmakers often rely too much on post-production to do things they should have done in their productions.
Yeah.
Relying too heavily on CGI.
Absolutely. Absolutely true.
June 15th, 2020. James Gunn reveals The Suicide Squad title. He was going to say Origins, but then they just said put The Suicide Squad on there. So that's how the movie got its title. Okay. August 22nd, 2020. James Gunn reveals the full cast. Okay. And that's when we got like all these people that were like, whoa, cool. Like Nathan Fillion. We saw that Joel Kinnaman was back.
I was really excited for Nate being cast. And they were very secret of who the heck he would play. Like they even changed the name of what the character is in the comic books to the movie. Like, so you didn't really know.
I've said this before, is for a Suicide Squad sequel, all you need was Joel Kinnaman and Viola Davis. Since they're the heads, like you can mix up the other characters. That's what makes the Suicide Squad a good property. All right. And then let's see here. September 23rd, 2020, the show that no one knew they wanted, a Peacemaker show, is announced on HBO Max.
Yes, absolutely. Who would have thought that John Cena would be that freaking hilarious?
What's hilarious?
I knew he's funny, but not that funny.
Side note about how important a good director is and about casting. You and I went and saw Fast X together, right? No, sorry, Fast 9.
We did not. We saw Fast 9, I think, maybe.
And it was Fast 9 because John Cena is in it, and we were both like, I've seen him do better. He's not doing that great. Then that same year, The Suicide Squad comes out, and he's fantastic in it.
Yeah, he felt like it almost seemed like he was uncomfortable in Fast 9.
Right.
But the Suicide Squad, he was unleashed.
November 11th, 2020, the legend Robert Patrick is cast as the main villain in Peacemaker. Yes, I'm bringing up Peacemaker because it ties into the conversation. Let's see, let's get to get to the release. January 15th, 2021, Peacemaker begins filming. Peacemaker is very much tied into just the Suicide Squad, period. So
basically a sequel, like a direct sequel.
And we've said this before that retroactively Peacemaker makes the Suicide Squad a better movie.
Yeah, that could be agreed.
Okay, gotta load more here. July, nope, hold on, my bad.
So is there something before August 5th, 2021 when it releases?
I don't think so.
All right, August 5th,
July 27th.
Oh, good.
Margot Robbie calls the Suicide Squad the greatest comic book film ever made. Of course they do. August 5th, it releases.
All right. It would receive critical praise, with many calling it the best DCEU movie ever. Despite the muted box office due to the pandemic, the Delta variant, and the date HBO Max release, the film would be a major hit for HBO Max and solidify James Gunn at DC. Boom.
This is other. This one, it was just I couldn't find the time, and it was just too easy for Jeannie and I to watch at home on Max. I remember it like it was yesterday. We put the kids to bed, we popped some popcorn, we sat back here on the couch, turned it on, and watched it. And I watched it the first day it was released. I watched that evening, and then I think I watched it again the next day or the day after the next day, because it very was a movie that deserves two viewings. Because there is stuff in it that kind of just catches you off guard, and you're like, huh, okay.
Like,
right.
like totally missing that Sean Gunn was Calendar Man. Like, totally missed that.
I mean, just the opening scene. I mean, this is a spoiler podcast, but like the fact that how much James, like, okay, let's compare this. In the first Suicide Squad film, we knew Slipknot was dead from the beginning.
Absolutely.
There was no marketing with him, no toy, no hype for him. Even the way it's edited, where we're introduced to every character but him, we knew he had dead. James Gunn straight up like hypes up everyone that's in this movie.
Never saw that coming, man. Never saw that freaking coming.
Everybody, like the way they edited the trailers and stuff, you really didn't know what to expect. He's hyping up everybody. He's promoting with everybody.
Mongal, Nathan Fillion's in this movie. What the hell is the dude?
Pete Davidson
Blackguard. In this movie. Blackguard. Michael Roker is Savant.
The guy who plays the Javelin, I can never say his name correctly. And that dude got in wicked shape too.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. So the fact that, this
Captain Boomerang.
And then Captain Boomerang returns. And I was like, that's awesome. Guy Courtney's back. His best role ever. And then that scene where they all just get killed.
They all get slaughtered, man.
And I mean, it is so. I literally Jania was shocked, but I laughed so hard when Blackguard gets shot in the face at the beginning, and then everyone dies on the beach, and you're just like,
oh my gosh, well, what the hell?
And then they kind of do like a side cutback, but then they never go back to those characters really.
Nope.
Harley is the only one to live, and I told you I felt like Boomerang was going to die in the movie, just because it's kind of like Randy and Scream 2. You bring him back, but one of the originals got to die, But dude, it was one of those I was laughing because I'm just like, I can't believe he pulled this off, and this is what he's doing. And
then right there, Waller. All right, Team 2. How you, Team 2? You doing good?
Yeah.
And I loved how the opening song, these are my friend who died, and they're all placing bets on who the heck's gonna blow. They're like, this Weasel guy, he's gonna make it. TDK, what the hell is he? $50 on TDK, whatever. That was great. That was so good. That was nice.
I enjoy this movie. It's not one I go back to a lot because of the R rating, just because it's not one I can throw in the background with the kids around. That affects how often I get to watch some of these films, because if it's something I can throw around in the background with the kids, I'm good, but this one I can't. My only real negative about this film, I have two things, kind of comments. One, I felt like they wrote the script without Harley, but they found a way to bring her in, because everything she does feels like a side mission, because they weren't sure if Margot was going to come back or not, but they found a way to keep her in things and get her back into play. And the others, I do not like this version of King Shark as far as like the kind of dumbed down simpleton.
I understand why James did it.
I do too. I just don't like Hand. I would much prefer just take out all Sylvester's language and put Ron Funches in there and just put his dialogue in there. I don't even care what he's saying. Just that is my King Shark right there from Harley Quinn. Like,
yeah.
So that is my biggest kind of gripe about this movie is just kind of the overweight kind of dumbed down surfer simpleton.
I gotta say, I love this movie. I love it. I think every character gets growth. Every character has a purpose. Every character has a story. King Shark's main story is like he can't be with other people. He's never had a friend. He's never had someone to show him love, and actually care about him. And they treat him like a moron, so he kind of like is a moron, because all he does is eat. Like that's all he knows. So kind of growing with that, with Ratcatcher and Bloodsport. I was this close to saying Deadshot. With Bloodsport, and just like the great jokes, the team dynamic, Polka Dot Man story with his mom, hilarious. And the best thing in the whole movie is the little rivalry with Peacemaker and Bloodsport. Like, I never miss. Well, I never miss either. Like, I could shoot bullets that go through your bullets. Well, how would you do that? Smaller bullets. It's like no one likes to show off. They do when it's dope as F.
He's like, he's right.
It's like, I love it. I love this movie.
You have to have a darker sense of humor just to kind of roll with some of it. The scene when they go through the camp and they kill everybody, and it's them competing against each other to find out that camp is actually the good guys. They're like, God, why didn't my men alert me? Yeah. I like.
And they're doing that montage where like Peacemaker just takes that like little. He's just like chopping that dude like. Freaking hilarious, man.
Joel Kinnaman in this, I liked him as Flag much more.
He was much better as Flag in this, much better.
It just seemed like everyone's having a good time. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those films that I feel had a nice balance of James Gunn's style and humor. It still worked.
It made you think that,
but it also
was back on the right direction.
It earned its R rating.
Absolutely.
This is a movie that said, I'm rated R. I'm going to take advantage of the rated R. Okay. And this is a movie that you really can't edit without being drastically crazy to be, a PG-13, unlike Birds of Prey.
So thumbs up this movie. Thumbs up.
And
all right.
The last part of our discussion here would be Peacemaker. That's why we were mentioning it as we were going through this. So January 13th,
this show's great.
Peacemaker releases. The show would receive universal praise from critics, with many fans calling it the best comic book show of the year. The show would go on to solidify John Cena as an actor. February 16th, Peacemaker is renewed for season 2, confirming the show to be a big hit for HBO Max. Okay. I've watched the whole series twice. It is a little rough to binge. I'll say that, because some of the humor does get old when you watch it back to back to back to back. But some of it, like, it's even if you don't like some of the low hanging fruit jokes, the characters are so well written and done and embodied by the actors and emotional that you feel it. Like I said, retroactively, like, John Cena is so great as Peacemaker in this, as being conflicted about what is right, what is wrong, who is good, who he is. why he's obsessed with the idea of peace. What is peace? Robert Patrick is like the best bad guy ever. Like, he is such a piece of crap.
Yes, he is.
I mean, even some of the actors in it that you'll watch that are like, I don't know who that is, but I've seen them in many things. The Canadian actors that they get to be the background characters and stuff are just so good. And it really is the actress I can't who plays Leota, Amanda Waller's daughter,
I can't
Adebayo.
pronounce it. Yeah.
She is so great in this, and like just her.
She is.
With Chris, the violence is over the top, but it's made to be that way because I think we've said this before. One of James Gunn's specialties is taking characters that are obscure, keeping core elements, but then molding them to something more that we can identify with. And that's what intrigues me about with Superman Legacy, is because it's the first time he's playing with a major character that you can't do that with.
Yep.
He can't make James Gunn's Superman. He has to make Superman. But like, you can make no one gives a crap about Peacemaker. Okay?
They do now.
They do now, but nobody did then. So you could do and make fun and make him like an 80s metalhead, and everyone's like, yeah, sure, whatever, it's Peacemaker, who cares?
But Superman, nope.
I can't fire a gun without the dove of peace. Even Vigilante, like, it's like, okay. Like, they did Adrian Chase completely different than what he is in the comics, but he's so dang entertaining.
He's so dang entertaining.
My
girlfriend's pregnant, but we're not going to keep it. You want to come to the party?
When he has to get himself arrested and put in prison where he's going to kill Peacemaker's dad, and he's like, that whole scene was like, just pisses off all the white supremacists. And he's fighting with them, but he can't fight because he got his pinky toe jacked up.
Yeah.
Like half cut off, and he's like trying to kick. Like, I remember that one because I was sitting there eating cereal watching with Jania, and I was laughing so hard that like I was spitting it out, and I was just like coughing because I was like choking, but I was laughing so hard at that scene. And I mean, of course, the opening dance scene, like, who doesn't love that?
The best one, probably the best opening credit scene of any superhero show. Like, so dang funny. Do you really want to taste it? And then like the best part is when they go to the Robert Patrick, and he's just like does a cross chop and like,
it's like he's like, I'm Robert Patrick. I'm too old to be dancing. You're just going to accept that I'm doing this.
You'll get the thrust, baby. But this, Suicide Squad and Peacemaker are so funny. It makes me very excited for what Gunn can do. Like what he's going to do with Creature Commandos. Because Creature Commandos, not very well known, but it makes me even more curious for Superman for sure, because you can't have Superman doing certain things. It's very intriguing. So,
all right, we got one more to talk about, right?
One more, where the whole hierarchy of DC would change forever.
So that's 2021. Now we're going into the final year, which is 2022, of films that were released.
Wait, what year is it? What year are we talking about?
It
doesn't matter what year you're talking about.
Yeah, you're right, because technically Peacemaker came out in January of 2022, and Black Adam would be released. Now, I'm going back through here, and I'm not going to go all the way back because technically Dwayne Johnson, we mentioned it briefly in Shazam when he was cast to be Black Adam, or when they decided to split Black Adam into its own film. The next biggest news is in June 7th, 2019. I'm not going to pronounce his name. Colette Sarah is announced as the director of Black Adam. That's the next big pinnacle in getting this movie off the ground. We finally have a director. The Rock had been fighting to have this movie done. He gets the director. All things are go. We're revving up. Okay. And then a little thing called the COVID pandemic So on April 13th, 2020, Black Adam filming delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's see here. I have to go through a bunch of other stuff to get back to. Here we go. August 22nd, 2020, The Rock confirms that Black Adam would feature the JSA.
Got
Okay.
me so excited. So excited.
Doo-da. September 25th, 2020, Aldous Hodge is cast as Hawkman.
Hawkman.
I had seen Aldous Hodge in Supernatural. I had seen him the Invisible Man movie that had recently come out. He was in a show called Leverage that I watched some of. So I was pretty like, okay, I can roll with this. I'm like, I can roll with this. This is cool. Let's see here. Keep going. Walter now this is important because during 2020 is when the whole Walter Hamada issues with Ray Fisher comes out, and that's mentioned.
Yep.
I bring that up because that's all going on during this time, because this will affect the leadership that comes about during Black Adam.
And
March 24th,
Ray Fisher's
2020
career for the rest of his life.
Yes. March 24th, 2021, Pierce Brosnan is cast as Dr. Fate.
Woo!
That was amazing.
Perfect casting. When that was announced, man, I think like I texted you or called you and I was like, dude, yes.
April 10th, 2021, Black Adam begins filming. And the hierarchy of power was going to get.
Hierarchy of power will change. If you smell
July 15th, 2021,
what the Rock of Eternity.
Black Adam wraps filming. Dum dum dum.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, is there any big Black Adam stuff before the release? Let's see here. Nope.
Yeah, not much.
Okay, the biggest thing, this is worth mentioning. February 11th, 2022, DC releases The World Needs Heroes trailer. This trailer would advertise 4 DC films for 2022. The Batman, Black Adam, The Flash, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. That's important to know.
That is important to know.
Because that was like one of the coolest things ever. Okay, April 14th, 2022, new WB boss, David Zaslav, wants to overhaul DC and form an entirely separate studio for the franchise.
The beginning of the end.
We had been saying for a long time that it needed its own studio. July 23rd, The Rock is booed as DC or as San Diego Comic-Con after it was falsely reported that Henry Cavill would show up and announce his return as Superman. That's stupid because that's just people wish thinking.
The Rock
not
is
even
booed?
taking. Yeah, he was kind of booed that
There was falsely reported that it would show up and announce. Oh, okay. He said he would show up and announce.
Yeah.
Oh, my apologies.
October 12th, 2022, The Rock teases the return of Henry Cavill. October 17th, The Rock says he wants Black Adam to face off against Superman. October 21st, 2022, Black Adam releases in theaters. The film would go on to bomb at the box office with $393 million next to a budget of $260. The main reason for the ballooning budget was because of extensive reshoots. Critics were also not too kind on the film, panning it as generic, formulaic, and uninteresting. October 22nd, 2022, Black Adam 2 is announced. Same day. October 22nd.
The same day's release that was announced. I totally forgot about that. Well, because of the Henry Cavill Superman scene, no doubt.
So October 22nd, it's reported that The Rock went over the head of Walter Hamada directly to the WB executives to get Henry Cavill back. This is when Hamada steps down as DC president, this October 23rd. Now, when Hamada steps down, DeLuca, was already working under Hamada when all the kind of crap was going down. He was being forced out. So it's DeLuca, who is the interim working head of what would be DC, that starts to get the Henry Cavill stuff going. So he's the one kind of like, all right, we're going to bring Henry back. Let's shoot this scene. He's the one that had the Henry scene for The Flash. because that's where they were going to go. They were working with, Hamada had been kind of out without being out officially at this time. And DeLuca and his partner, who I can't remember the name, I had it written down, but I don't have it. They're the interims. So they're the ones who are like, okay, we're going to do this with Henry. We're going to, that's why we have that Flash scene. The Keaton scene that was at the end of the Flash. And that's where they're working. And then it's October 24th that Henry Cavill teases his return as Superman. And then it's October 25th when James Gunn and Peter Safran announce as DC Studios. So it's important to note because, it's kind of DeLuca's plan. Like, oh, well, there's no one in charge. I'm kind of in charge. I'm going to do this. And then they bring in complete new management. And we'll save that for the next conversation. But it was worth noting to tell you that's why it's important to look at the management of how things get so messed up, who approved what, who did what decisions were made.
Just a matter of a day.
So let's talk Black Adam, the film.
Yes, let's.
First of all, positives. I like the way the movie looks. It looks good.
It does look good. It's smooth. Movie smooth.
I think it's over convoluted.
Sure is.
With who Teth Adam is and his son Harut. I think they should have just made it more simple. That Teth Adam was chosen, but he was kind of on the verge. His son gets murdered, and then he fully embraces Black Adam.
Yeah, that's a big problem. Like, why did they have to start with the origin this way at the very beginning, and then they retcon it mid-movie, then they retcon it another time? Like, why couldn't you just make it that, like...
Because you're trying to make Black Adam not the bad guy, like that he is in the comics when he first comes in. Like, we're mainly looking at Black Adam more from the New 52, because that's where they took the whole Shazam universe from. And they overcomplicate his origin. They could have just had him, he was chosen, and like that's kind of like the whole arc of the wizard is he chose wrong. And then you could have had Harut die, and that's when you see Black Adam release the sins. Like, we didn't have to do a whole this king kind of thing with Eternium. Like, unless you told me that this in Kahndaq is like where the Rock of Eternity kind of touches Earth. Like this is where that's why he's imprisoned the way he is. That would have been better. So you've already over convoluted the story. You don't really try to tie it with Shazam, which I hate. Like, I get that The Rock wanted to fight Superman because that's a much bigger thing for his character.
We get this whole tease in Shazam for Black Adam.
And I'm like, you already have the same wizard. You're saying the same damn word. You could have just, had him release the sins, and that's why he gets imprisoned. And that's simple. Simple. It connects. If you don't want Zach Levi in the movie, fine. That's cool. I do not think Cyclone or Atom Smasher should have been in this movie. It should have been, the idea with the JSA is they haven't been active for years. She contacts, it should have been Waller reaches out because she knew about Black Adam's history and knew that he had interacted with Dr. Fate in the past. And Dr. Fate reaches out to the only other quote unquote living JSA member, the newest reincarnation of Hawkman. And then it's just Hawkman and Fate going after Black Adam. And then at the end of this movie, they could have said,
I agree with you a little bit. I have my own pitch that I'll say in a second.
But then at the end of the movie, it could have been like, we need to rebuild the JSA. And then that opens up a whole JSA film. Other than that, the film, like, they ignore the idea of using Isis, the character. They kind of tease at it. They tease it maybe.
I figured they were going to do it in the sequel. Yeah,
because I felt like the mother of the boy might have been a descendant of Teth Adams' wife. And I think Sabac's a really unique villain that should have been teased and saved. They could have just had Intergang as the villain in this instead of having to bring in the third act big bad like they do so often, say Doomsday or Mechagodzilla, so that our heroes all have to gather around an object, because the idea of Sabak is and the opposite of the Rock of Eternity is so interesting to flesh out. That should have been your Black Adam 2 or Shazam 3, where they team up together to go out with Sabak. Because that's a whole new mythology that you're bringing in.
Yeah, that's fair.
But overall, this movie's enjoyable. The score is fantastic. It wasn't like I left enjoying it. I loved Hawkman and Fate. I would like more of them. I didn't hate it. I would have liked a little bit more from it. But I didn't have expectations for it. I'm not like the huge Black Adam fan, so I was willing to go with whatever they give me. So you go, your turn.
No, you're fine. I love The Rock. I love Dwayne Johnson. When he was cast, when he like pitched in 2014 that he was going to be Black Adam, I was excited for it. You know, I think so there's a story that this is loosely based on called Black Rain, and it's a JSA story with Jeff Johns, and it was done right along Infinite Crisis time, like 2004, 2005. And in that it's revealed basically that Teth Adam was friends with Pharaoh Khufu,
Yeah.
who was the original
Hawkman,
incarnation of Hawkman, and then his spiritual advisor or his wizard, whatever, was Naboo, which is the spirit that's in Dr. Fate's helmet. So in my mind, what would have been a great story here would have been that the JSA was formed because Teth Adam was released. So,
okay. Yeah.
So, they were friends, and Teth Adam kind of went to the dark side because of things happened to his family, in ancient Egypt. Like, I would have liked scenes of ancient Egypt, blah, blah, blah. And then he gets imprisoned because he unleashes the sins, whatever. The wizards imprison him, and then we get this story of Naboo and Hawk and Khufu, that our friend got corrupted. We lost our friend, and now our friend's back, and our friend's confused, and our friend's angry, and our friend feels betrayed, and now we have new resurrections, reincarnations. Apologize. Reincarnations of Hawkman with Aldous Hodge's character, and then we got Naboo has a new host with Kent, and they form the JSA to like a team because they don't know if they're enough to stop Black Adam, because they couldn't stop him when he turned bad thousands of years ago. They don't know if they can stop him now, so they build this team. Because what killed me is like we're establishing the JSA exists, but we don't have any origin for it.
Yep.
We don't know how Hawkman got his money. We don't know anything about Hawkman. We don't know anything about the JSA. Cyclone exists. We don't know where she's from. But the thing that kills me is we have Atom Smasher, and he has the suit of his uncle, but his uncle has never been established as the Atom, played by Fonz.
Yeah. It was a whole, like, I like your pitch a lot because I feel like that's a stronger story. Like, it would be easier to do, like I said, you make inner gang the kind of bad guys in the background. You don't need to develop the bad guys; they're just there because your main antagonist is Black Adam.
They want to use it, and turn them for technology, whatever. It can be as simple as that.
You try to do a kind of a story about when the JSA shows up and the people are kind of like, where have you been this whole time? We've been oppressed. You could have ejected that because you didn't do much with it. Or you make that more of your front, and then that's when you end the film with Black Adam sitting on the throne and people like around him almost worshiping him.
Yeah.
That's a scarier, stronger ending than him crushing the throne.
Yeah, he should not crush that throne.
If you're going to be an anti-hero, be the anti-hero. Okay? Don't try to be the lighthearted anti-hero. Like, lean into it.
Yeah. But I would like the story of three friends and just like okay, we're kind of like intertwined with destiny through millennia.
One of my favorite,
Yeah,
okay, from a story point and stakes point, and I really need to rewatch the film because I haven't in a while, was The Wolverine. And I
yeah, I
reference it
need
a
to
lot.
watch that again. Yeah,
We
I
should
will be
watch it together.
watching this. Well, I'll be watching it soon as we lead up to Deadpool. I'll be doing a
Yeah, okay.
whole. I'll be doing a whole X-Men thing with.
Let's do it together. Because especially that one, because I loved it because it's small stakes, because it's personal. And I feel like Black Adam had the ability to do that. It's a personal, small stakes film. You know, I don't need them saving the world, but saving their friend's soul.
Yeah,
Like
that's exactly
the
what I'm talking about. That's exactly what
um
I'm going for.
so I just think you could have, and I think like it would have been awesome depending on where you want to put this film. Like if you want to put it technically before Shazam 2, um, it doesn't matter. Like the post credit scene, because we knew the wizard was coming back in Shazam, could have been like the wizard in jail or the wizard seeing TV or something where the wizard's attention is brought that Teth Adam has returned. Like, and just seeing that because I love Jaimin Hansu.
It would have
But
been cool if like Superman would show up and said like, if this JSA cannot keep you in check, I for damn sure is going to keep you in check.
right. You know, I as much as it was kind of cool to see Waller, I think she makes us all kind of scratch our head why she's calling the shots, why she's
Yeah,
here.
she shouldn't have
Um,
any part of it, in my opinion.
her whole and then the whole reason why he gives up his power and goes into prison, like that scene is almost pointless because he goes into prison and then a beat later we have an over exaggerated him breakout scene. And that kind of bugged me because in the comics, it's when
Lay it on me,
Black
buddy.
Black Adam says Shazam and then never turns back. So as soon as he says Shazam again, he starts aging because the human form is not, um, it's still detached. You know what I'm saying? Like the human form is um, affected, like by life. You know, you can die when you're a human. We've seen it in the comics and stuff when, so, when he says Shazam and he goes back to being Teth Adam, the slave, he should have automatically started deteriorating.
Yeah,
But no,
yeah.
they let him live. So that's why that whole him going in prison thing doesn't work for me. I could have done without all of that and just instead of doing that stupid story, taking the time to just like work on these characters more. But
And,
that's
and if you are going to put him in a situation where he can't change back into the Black Adam, I would have liked to see, like, probably in the future movie, like in this fight with Superman or whatever, or Shazam, if they would have did what they did in Infinite Crisis, or I'm sorry, it was like the 1 year later story, maybe it was, but they changed the word that he would have to say to change. So like the wizard, like I think like Shazam, yeah, because all magic was destroyed. The Rocket Attorney was destroyed, and like Shazam became like the epitome of magic.
mhm.
Um, but they changed the word he would have to say to change. Like and like he didn't know the word to say. So I forget what it was in the comic. I think
Pants.
Mary. What's that?
Pants.
It's probably SmackDown, whatever. I didn't think this movie was really that bad. Um,
It's not. I mean, it's really
but
not because
but we needed story in it. We need more story of who people were. But I thought Hawkman was really good, man. I thought Dr. Fate was fantastic. Um, it's not bad. It's not really that bad.
it's a superhero movie with The Rock. And
Yeah,
he does a good job of not being just The Rock. Like he actually tries to be a character instead of just being himself.
a little bit. He still played himself, but
It's like that 1 degree difference. Um, but yeah, the other thing is just the Shazam family of characters, story, history, mythology is convoluted in itself, and we could pick
it
that all
is.
apart.
It is.
We talked a
But
little
I
bit
do
about it
love
when
it
we.
still. I still love it.
Oh, I do too.
I love
But like
Shazam.
in the comics, like it's off. So it's always kind of tweaking and changing about it, like right now how they are. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up where we are in episode 3, buddy.
I yeah, I think like what's confusing about this era or this part 3 is we get We get two absolutely abominations, and then we get this step kind of in the right direction, and then we'll get into part 4 here, where things just get so crazy. Because I have a lot to say about what happens next here. Um, we did break these up in pretty good parts.
Yeah,
But
we did.
so that's part 3. I suggest that I suggest you totally skip Wonder Woman 84. Don't bother with it. And you might think, well, shit, Brian, it's a DC movie. I gotta watch it. No, don't. No, save yourself. Maybe watch Birds of Prey once at least.
I would say all of them once.
Yeah, once at least.
Just because you need to experience all of them once for yourself to make up your own mind, and then you can really
You're
look
your
at
own
what we're
person.
saying. Yeah, be your own
Be
person.
your
I
own
mean,
person.
this is me and Brian talking. You know, everyone has their opinions, but I will say that a lot of people's that I've seen who've posted their rankings on these films
Yeah.
are very similar to my bottoms, and it feels like there's a certain cluster of films that are always being filtered to the bottom.
Yes.
And it's really the middle where we all are kind of like, ooh, what's here? What's there? You know?
I'm with you.
So I look forward to discussing our rankings and stuff in part 4.
Yes. So that is part 3 of the DCEU End of an Era. Ugh. Please stay tuned for part 4, the grand finale on only the Krypton Report. Tyler, thank you so much for being here with me.
Always.
I look forward to the finale. You're my boy. Please listen to the Krypton Report. Where can people listen to you? Where can we find you?
Find Krypton Report anywhere podcasts are available.
For free.
You'll see it on if you go to the YouTube for Press Play Podcast. There's the YouTube there. We're on YouTube as well, but our episodes are on Press Play. Just look us up on all social media, and you'll have links to wherever you need to listen to your podcast from Spotify, Apple, or just on the landing page.
Same with Bry the Guys. You can find us at TikTok, Bry the Guys, Instagram, Bry the Guys, Facebook, Bry the Guys. Search Spotify, Apple Podcasts for Bry the Guys, because I'm Bry and this is one of the guys. So everybody just chill to the next episode.